Oh, that's great.
Well, let's shift gears. I want to talk about sitting for a minute because you did some interesting stuff here in the book around that. I know we're sitting now, sitting is unless you're on an airplane or in a car.
I'm stuck in my butt all day in a plane typically. So I mean, there's this myth that sitting's the new smoking. Not by any stretch of the imagination. At least 10 times more deadly to smoke than to sit. But prolonged sitting, defined typically over 6 hours a day, is associated with increased mortality, even if you then go out to the gym and work out hard for an hour a day after work. And so it does. I mean, and that helps, but doesn't completely counterbalance the fact that you're sitting all day. And we think a lot of that has to do with the venous stasis. The coagulability of your blood, the fact that you're not actually having movement of blood through your veins in your lower legs, affects endothelial function and affects kind of your kind of systemic arterial tree. But even something like bobbing your knee up and down has been shown to completely eliminate those effects.
That's wild.
And they have someone just bob one knee up and down versus the other, and you can measure the differences in what's going on in their legs, and that is what's correlated with this increased cardiovascular disease. Morbidity and mortality. So there's a way. So even if you're a truck driver, even if you're stuck inside all day, sitting down, there are things you can do. And there's all sorts of. I go through all the various different like little bars and things that you can put under your desk, and which ones work, which ones are just fads. And so there are ways you can counterbalance the effect, or you can do a standing desk, walking desk. I love getting back to my walking desk. I'm addicted to the thing.
Wasn't there a study that you looked at where they put people on basically, a standardized amount of calories every day and said you can exercise this much, and there was a difference in between, some of them lost weight, some of them didn't, and it came down to how much they were sitting, and then there was this realization that there are certain people that are walking around all the time, kind of casually throughout the day, and they were having amazing benefits that the people who were just eating the same and working out the same, who were sitting more, weren't able to realize.
Yeah, these neat benefits, right? These non-exercise thermogenesis. So what they realized is that we typically, it's this whole calories in, calories out, and you ask people what matters, and people actually either say they're the same or calories out matters more, and that's completely not true. We have almost total control over calories in. In fact, we could eat nothing. Although in calories out, typical exercise, like casual exerciser, that's only like 5% of calories out. Most of our calories out are our energy-intensive brains. Most wild animals, movement is their number one calories out. For us, it's our brains. We could lie down in bed, chained to a bed all day, still burn over 1,000 calories. And so that's why it's so hard to outrun a bad diet, because even a moderately obese person, moderately intensely exercising for an hour burns 350 calories. I mean, most snacks, drinks, processed foods have like are consumed at 70 calories a minute. So 5 minutes eating just wiped out a whole hour of exercise. That's why it's so difficult. But what they learned is because and so there's a like a 60% slice that's just like basal metabolic activity, keeping your breathing, your heart pumping, your brain going. And then there's a small sliver, unless you're a mountain climber, an army ranger or something, really doing intense exercise, you just have a small fraction of voluntary exercise. But then there's this non-exercise thermogenesis, which is fidgeting, which is just moving around, walking around, standing rather than sitting. And so now we have these accelerometers we can put on people. And so it really revolutionized our understanding of where these calories are going, and why you put people on the same calorie diet, the same enforced exercise schedule, and some people lose vastly more amounts of weight than others. And most of that had to do, it's not like some people just, had metabolic slowing or there's some biochemical thing going on. No, it was the amount of this kind of typical kind of exercise, where you're setting out a half an hour to do any kind of exercise. It was just that they're just moving around more during the day. And so how can we enforce that? Well, being at a standing desk, you have postural muscles, otherwise you collapse to your floor. anything you can do to get you to just move yourself more and, bouncing your knees, that kind of stuff.
I mean, that dovetails pretty perfectly with the Blue Zone's findings, right? That these people that live so long and live so healthy are people that are just kind of in constant low-grade motion throughout the day.
Right, they're not going to the gym, right? Because their whole life is just, we were built to move. And so, I mean, that's what some of that sitting data